Hi guys. Today I thought we could do maybe something a little different. I'm getting a little burnt out of replaying Tier 7 content. Essentially, there's only like a handful of missions we can actually really run, unless unless you don't mind playing with a pug and risking just doing one or two bosses, or even sometimes wiping at the first group of ad. It happens sometimes. So today I thought we could go and farm for the Captain Cold hood, which is a fairly in demand item. Let's take a look. Like you can see, the hood sells for about 4 million, 4.5 million on the broker these days. So I've seen people also complain that sometimes they'll try to farm for the hood, but people will leave halfway through the mission. So essentially, once you reach, I'd say combat rating 70, maybe more, you probably can solo it. Let's go ahead and try it. Also, it will allow me. It will allow me to stay in controller role. Although I probably could do tier 6 and controller role as well. So essentially, at Stryker Island, you have an entrance right here that you can use. So you don't even need a group. So once you overgear the content, there's no reason why you even need a group to come in here. So essentially, whenever people complain that groups leave halfway through the missions, well, pretty quickly you should be able to solo this mission.
Everything seemed normal when Gorilla Grodd arrived earlier, and trust me, when a trillion-pound gorilla gets called to arrive with pristine superpowered criminals, you know that some things go south.
But it's been a while. Maybe
Also, another matter. They're in the cell block to your right.
it's been a while since I did this mission period, and it's been even longer since I tried to do it solo. So there could be something I'm not aware of that makes it much more difficult than it used to be. We'll see. So you can see it as a controller, unlike whenever I play as a DPS. With a DPS, essentially I'll use the advanced mechanic, and once in a while I'll use a weapon mastery. With a controller, weapon mastery is pretty much my bread and butter. And I'm stuck on the, there we go. Sometimes you get stuck in the background or something. In this case, like that beam was blocking me somehow. Essentially, doing missions solo missions as a DPS is a fairly recent thing for me. For the longest time, I was always playing as a controller, even when I was playing solo. The reason behind that is that essentially, as a DPS, I would run out of power pretty quick, as opposed to as a controller, I could pretty much regenerate my power no problem. I used to have uh, I used to have a loadout for controller when I was in a group and controller when I was solo, but it's not as necessary as it used to be. Essentially, if my controller loadout doesn't really allow me to play solo for some reason, I'll switch to DPS. So I guess my DPS is my new solo mode for when and for instead of having two controller loadout, I have my DPS and my controller loadout instead. If it makes any sense. So you'll probably notice I can pretty much use as much power as I want and always regenerate myself. My regenerate my power. It's pretty rare that I'll run dry as a controller. Usually, it'll happen when I'm in a group with players that are very power hungry. You'd assume that with advanced mechanics, that wouldn't happen as much, but it still happened quite a lot actually. Essentially, when they added the weapon mastery to the game, DPSs were pretty good at managing their own power, and controlling wasn't as taxing as it used to be. But then when they added the advanced mechanic, then DPSs started being power hungry once more. And I can understand when people are using a power that doesn't regenerate power. Sure, I can understand if they burn through their power bar fairly quickly. The thing is, I've seen it happen even with mental DPSs or quantum DPSs. There was this mission not that long ago where I was with my Galactus Quantum character, and essentially I was regenerating my power fine, and the other guy in the duo was pretty much a carbon copy of my character, and somehow he was burning through his power bar and wasn't regenerating his power much, if at all, which I thought was a bit strange, but it's something I've been seeing quite a lot since the advanced mechanic was added to the game. DPSs have started being power hungry once more. And not just DPSs, some certain healers. Although in the case of healers, usually it's because they're over healing, or because they're trying to DPS as a controller. So, but even tanks, sometimes I'll see them burn through their power very quickly. I can understand that maybe it's to set up a few defense buffs or something as they start the fight. But it's still strange sometimes to see them burn through their power very quickly. But at some point you get used to it. You get used to identifying players who burn through their powers too quickly. And essentially, one tool that you have as a controller that not many seems to know is that you have the power to one of your abilities is to essentially power starve players. If you see that players are burning too much power, you just power starve them, and essentially you manage their powers, their power use for them. What does that mean is that if you see that, let's say you see that the tank is burning through his power way too quickly, and it is spamming his powers too much, what you can do is that essentially the tank needs to cast a power every 8 to 12 seconds, depending on the situation, I guess. So what you can do to control the amount of power that the tank is using is that you power starve him until until he actually needs to use a power to be able to get, let's say, the aggro back, or to activate some abilities. So you wait, let's say, 8 seconds, and then you give him power back, and then obviously he'll burn his power right away because he technically shouldn't need to. And then you power starve him for about 8 seconds, and then after 8 seconds you give him power back, so that essentially you control how much power he's using by giving him just enough to actually do his job. You can do the same also with healers. With healers, it's a bit more tricky because there are situations where sometimes the healer will need to be able to spam power, like to spam heal in certain situations. So if you power starve the healer, you run the risk that in situation where he actually really needs to spam heal to keep the group alive in certain crunch points, then he may not have enough power to spam at the proper time. But sometimes there's some healers that leave you no choice that essentially that try to DPS as a healer and that make it so that you essentially you have to power starve them. There's no other choice sometimes. Usually you'll start by trying to regenerate their power as much as you can. But sometimes when you see that sometimes when you run the risk too much of essentially running out of power yourself, then you may have to make the call of saying, okay, I think I'm going to power starve that little guy. So we often see players talk about the power over time of the controller or even the double tick of the controller to try and give out extra power. But the power starving is also a tool that the controller can use that not many people talk about. I guess I suppose it's an advanced technique, if we can call it that, that you get with experience, I suppose.
This would explain the lack of communication. Gorilla Grodd's unconscious mind has pushed the inmates into primal rage. The rogues are out of their cells and have fled further on. They must be after their weapons in lockup.
Security clearance.
You don't really need to clear out every NPC. Essentially, I could activate the console and just keep on going. But there's no reason to leave any NPCs behind. When you're by yourself, you can pretty much go at your own pace, which is kind of what I like. You don't have to rush ahead because sometimes some of the group will rush ahead, and so you can pretty much take your time and get rid of all the NPCs if you wish. So essentially, in the previous room, I don't know if you've noticed, you need to defeat a certain amount of prisoners before you can move forward. And I've been a bit sloppy in the sense that uh, I didn't use my weapon mastery all that much, and especially the weapon mastery. Come on, weapon mastery timing in order to cast my powers like this. Main reason is that I don't really have to. I'll probably do fine even if I don't do that. Oh, I resisted the control. That's a first. But also the as you saw the prisoners interrupt me quite a bit, so it makes it a bit difficult to properly execute combos. Which again is not really a problem since I probably could do this mission without the combos.
The primal pit even before Grodd unleashed his mental powers. I suggest
But
we
sure,
should
better
investigate
to
your past
actually
more.
use the combos
Find
properly.
out who the real threat
It
is.
helps you not waste as much power, I suppose. Oh, we got a nice cloak of healing, which probably won't I won't be able to get the style of. No, let's look at it right away because I'm curious like that. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Yeah, yellow cloak. Oh, what we got some exhibit clusters. That alone will make it worth it. Let me rearrange my exhibits a bit. Earlier, I did a bit of farming for some collections. Not really for Magneto, but I see. Oh, okay. I wish we could have those consoles for our base. Maybe someday. And I couldn't break out. Some enemies do have some crowd control abilities, so some stun or some hold spell that you cannot break out of. It happens. Master Levitate has to be one of my favorite spells right now, and it's probably my favorite crowd control ability now. So as you saw, I keep on being knocked down. So there we go. Getting the combo is a bit challenging, I suppose. But I love our telekinesis throwaways, those huge crates. It usually does that also with healing barrels, but these days it doesn't seem to do it as much with the healing barrels as it used to. I'm not sure if it was changed for some reason. Essentially, in the past, I would use telekinesis to essentially summon a healing barrel. Instead of going and picking up the healing barrel, I would just use the power and bring the barrel to the fight. And it was all kinds of awesome. But it's not something that I've been able to do lately somehow. Maybe I just wasn't lucky, or maybe they changed it. I can see how some people probably thought it was annoying because if you're not careful, you're going to break the healing barrels at the wrong time. Essentially, like if you're trying to save the healing barrels for later in the fight, and then the controller casts a telekinesis and essentially destroy the barrel, then yeah, sure, the timing will not be very very good, I guess. So maybe they changed it so that you no longer can break the barrel by accident, quote unquote. Which I would be sad if that's the case because it's something I've been enjoying quite a lot, and it's something I've been using to my advantage quite a lot, especially in PvP. I don't know, remember how many times uh, especially in the Shadowlands, where I would essentially cast a telekinesis and I would attract the healing barrel, and it would give me the edge over the other guy.
See what you can do.
So I did not even need to go and grab it, which was all kinds of awesome. But sadly, it doesn't seem to work quite as well now. So let us fight the rogues. So usually, this is where I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is where you can get the Captain Cold hood. So let's give it a try. Usually I go for Mirror Master first, but Cold will put me in an ice ball if I let him. So I'll probably try and go for Cold this once. Oh, and I could summon some friends, I suppose. So one down. Let's try with the Mirror Master next. Usually Mirror Master is the first one you want to get rid of because of all the copies that he makes. So oh, I got Wither Wizard too. That's good. So normally in the past we would go for Mirror Master first, so that we would focus on the real one, so that we would pretty much ignore the copy and try to burn the real one as quickly as possible. Because as soon as you defeat the real one, the copies disappear.
Considering Grodd's current state,
So and then we would go for Weather Wizard because Weather Wizard throw us around with his tornado essentially. And then we would go for Captain Cold because Captain Cold can trap us in his ice balls. I'm not sure how to call it properly. And then we would finish with Heat Wave. We would keep Heat Wave for last. But that's when you do it with a group, and that's what you do. Well, that's what you should do when you're with a group that's at level. Obviously, if you have a group that overgears the content, you don't have to worry about that.
as you get closer in, Grodd's psychic wavelengths may break up communication, so don't.
I was barely able to get the combo. Barely. So you might be able to see in my loadout, essentially I'm using what is known as my power dump. It gives me a slight attack boost. Like if you see underneath my name that little that little green target, it means that I've got a little attack boost. But also it would give out powers to it would give out power to my teammates. I have my defense debuff, which I always forget if it's a pyrokinesis or a similar one. Obviously, there's my power over time. There's the telekinetic shield, which is gives me extra survivability, and of course, there's mass levitation, which somehow okay, there they are. There's mass levitation, which is my crowd control. So that's pretty much a loadout I use as a controller. Where there it is. And of course, usually I'm using weapon mastery quite a lot. It's usually a bit easier if you have a good tank. You can pretty much do your weapon mastery combos if the tank managed to keep the aggro. Usually that will leave you free as a controller to be able to get your weapon mastery combo to succeed doing your weapon mastery combo. But again, in this case, we're overgeared more than enough that it doesn't really matter. Essentially, I don't really need to use my weapon mastery combo, as you probably saw. I could pretty much just go with my regular weapon combos, or even just using my power. My regenerate power are enough that it's not really an issue. So as you saw, I had essentially 12 prisoners to defeat before Grodd would join the fight. So I could probably, where is he? I could probably hurt him a lot. Come on. I'm not sure why sometimes. There we go. Probably could have defeated him in one shot. Come on. Not sure why sometimes I can't seem to be able to use my power when I click on it, and my character will fly up as if I like this instead. And right now I'm doing it on purpose, but sometimes I'm even though I'm not, it still does that. So I want to use my orbital strike to make the fight last a bit more. The same with my backup. And as you saw, I've spammed a bit too much, which is not really an issue. Like you can see, the power over time is essentially giving me power back. So in the meantime, I can just use my weapon and then recast my power over time. There we go. And as you can see, I don't have a breakout trinket equipped. It used to be my fourth trinket in my belt, but as you can see, I've got a belt with a consumable as opposed to 4 trinkets. So I kept the orbital strike, I kept the supply drop, I kept the backup, and I sacrificed essentially my breakout trinket to be able to get the to put the potions, the stack of potion instead. I should probably start crafting some consumables. For that slot, but I know I'm like, okay.
Hey.
Hi there. Oh, I guess we should be good to defeat Grodd. Maybe? Not yet. One more with the pink version. So as you can see, Grodd is combat rating 80. So it should be no problem. So I'm not sure at what point you can decide to start soloing him. I'd say combat rating 95, 100 maybe. But some players like Death Mike probably can solo him at level, which would not surprise me. So let's see what we got. What's in the box?
Back in his own head, Stryker should return to normal.
Uh,
I'll make sure they use
Nothing
a mental
worth it.
nullification
Some
shield to
exhibits.
stay.
A plan we didn't have and we'll never use.
This side of Metropolis. Congratulations. Thanks.
Other than the flat screen TV, nothing worth it really, I suppose. So that was how you can try to get the Captain Cold hood. Sadly, it's a fairly rare drop, so you're gonna have to do this mission quite a lot. So essentially, if the mission is too difficult to do with a group because people leave the mission halfway through the mission, uh, eventually once you reach maybe combat rating 100, maybe a bit more, you should be able to do solo this mission no problem. So let's get out of here. And let's do a little something else that we do once in a while. I usually do it with the bounties, but I've done the bounties quite a lot lately, so I'll probably just do this one bounty. Essentially, I don't think I don't think I have all the sets that the androids are giving yet. So once in a while, I'll farm them, hoping to complete the set.
Ransacking my research. I've been able to hold them off so far, but they've unleashed a siege robot capable of causing serious damage to my defenses.
Again, sadly, this is the androids, whether the M bot or the S bot or the what's it called also. Anyway, the the Teomoro androids, it's much harder now to try and find a group to do them. So doing them at level is not really an option unless you're very patient and don't mind waiting a long time to form a group. The less bad solution is to just overgear the androids. Just level up your character until you reach combat rating 100 more if you need to, and then go back and solo the darn thing. He's fairly the area is fairly. Let's help her to heck with the area is fairly small, so you should have no problem finding it even by yourself. So the central city bounties are a bit a pain in the butt because the area where they are is fairly big, so it can take a while sometimes to find them, especially if they didn't spawn for some reason. But for the robots, it's fairly easy to find them. Usually I switch to DPS, but now I'll stay in controller role just because. And I will not use my backup or orbital strike, just to make the fight last a bit longer. And when I was a young mutant and we would do this mission at level, it wasn't rare that I would do double duties of being not just the controller but the tank as well. How is that possible? Says you. Essentially, I've been using the fortified blocking mod for ever now. So essentially, with the fortified blocking mod, I was pretty much able to tank this little fella either with the mod or using my telekinetic shield. As you can see, if you block him while he does his attack, you're supposed to block to interrupt him, but it doesn't always work somehow. So essentially, I could just fight him a bit, block him, fight him, block him, and if I really needed to, I could just stay in turtle mode, and then if I needed to cast, let's say, my power over time, then I would cast my telekinetic shield, and then cast the power over time, and then get back into blocking stance. So that's how I was able to pretty much control and tank at the same time. Essentially, I would use whenever I needed to use power. Let's say whenever I needed to use, let's say, a debuff or a power over time, I would do it while I was using my telekinetic shield. So essentially, my shield would protect me, allowing me to cast various powers. And then when my shield would be gone, I would get back into turtle mode in order to survive the attacks of the the Obot. And as you saw, so it seems fairly easy right now because I'm pretty much overgearing the poor robot. But it's something that even at level with the proper mod, even at level it was somewhat doable with a good healer that would keep me alive. Essentially, the blocking the fortified blocking mod and a good healer would allow me to stay alive, and my shield also would help a lot. Either my telekinetic shield, or even better, my bastion shield that would extend to the whole group. Let's see what we got. And the boxes. Two boxes, aren't we lucky? Some prestige. And some shoulder pieces. Do we have them? Oh no. Oh, and there we go. We got that was the last piece we needed. So no need to do the OBOT anymore. Now let's teleport to our base, because why not? Let's go and do the S-bot as well. So essentially we used to call them the O-bot and the S-bot. That was on PS3. But on PC at the same time, they were called, by most players, they were called the M-bot. So it would create some confusion sometimes, depending on whom you would be playing with. Let's take the poster.
I need you to take that robot out.
In this case, it's a little harder to find the robot. The area is uh, not really, well, maybe a bit bigger. Sometimes he's over here or right here or here. Sometimes he's here in the courtyard. Sometimes he's over here, but apparently not. Oh, next a bit. Uh, Sometimes he's over there. And there's a few different ones. Although I'm not sure what the difference is. Other than the color, I never really noticed what was different about the those robots. So let's try again. Could that be it? Nope. Well, I guess no S-bot for today. Maybe. Or maybe a spot I'm forgetting about that I'm not looking at. Let's see. And usually the S-bot is pretty much isolated. You won't find him again. I missed a group of enemies that's already on the island. So if you see a bunch of red enemies on the map, odds are the S-bot isn't there. I could be mistaken though, but as far as I know, that he's pretty much always by itself. I don't think he's close to the bridge, but you never know. If we're lucky, maybe we'll get a rare collection. It make millions of dollars. But unless we're really lucky, I don't expect to. Essentially, this is an area where I never really farmed for collections. The simple reason is that even using what's it called again? Even using a radar, uh, is that the radar? even using the scanner. Uh, no, it's the radar. Even using the radar, I wouldn't find any, or I barely would find one or two, and that's knowing where the collections actually spawn. Like I remember one time at it was like 3 or 4 a.m. And I decided, oh, let's go farm for collections on Arkham Island since there's no one else at that time. And in 15 minutes, I found maybe one collection. So after a couple of times like that, and sometimes I wouldn't find any in 15 minutes. So after a few times like that, I pretty much quickly gave up on farming for collections here. And instead, I would farm on Stryker. On Stryker, the only drawback is that you do get a lot of collections, but you get a lot of collections you don't really want. Like the rare one, yeah, are actually very rare. But still, essentially all the collections you get from farming on Stryker, you can sell for a buck or two. I thought that might be it, but no. So farming on Stryker was made more sense to me because you had more chances of one getting collections period, and even if you weren't getting the rare one you were looking for, you got plenty that you could sell, and eventually you would be able to buy the rare one if you still didn't get it. And I guess no robot for us tonight. Oh, okay, enough clowning around then. Let's go do some missions. Yeah, I'm not going to do the demon spit today. If you don't get a good partner, the demon's pit is a bit of a headache, and I don't really feel like it at this time. Maybe later today or tomorrow. We'll see. Probably should do the alerts. So let us switch to DPS. Usually that's what the people ask for. If you stand in controller stance, some people won't like that very much. Usually I'll try not to break the barrel right away. Maybe we'll need it a bit later. I guess we should do fine. We seem to have a fairly powerful partner. So I probably didn't need my backup, but you never know. The first wave of ads, usually that will tell you how effective your partner will be. So as you can see, even as a DPS, I regenerate my power pretty much as quickly as I spend it, which always makes me wonder when I see mental DPSs burn through their power. I wonder what they're doing wrong, or maybe what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm not using the powers that do the most DPSs, so maybe I'm doing something wrong. Could be. So maybe some people prefer other powers that would maybe possibly do more. Oh, let's help our friend. Maybe people use powers that do more damage, and the trade-off is that they don't regenerate as much power, as opposed to personally, I went with the powers that allow me to essentially cast powers infinitely. As you see, I can keep on casting and casting and casting, and it's especially effective against foes that can be crowd controlled. Of course, if I'm fighting enemies who are immune to crowd control, I may find it a bit more difficult. But if I'm fighting enemies that I can easily juggle, then it usually is fairly effective. And also the heal over time is it doesn't look like much. It's like 200 health point at a time, but through the whole fight, it adds up. Ah, crap! I broke the barrel. My bad. Oh, let's try and benefit from that a bit. You're right, this a bit because I'll have a tendency to stand in the corner and from the corner sometimes the camera will mess up a bit with you. Oh, there's a bomb, and my friend doesn't seem to see it. Oh, that was close. Oh, there we go. Let's go with the mask. It won't be good for gear, but it'll be good as a salvage.
Welcome to the Flash Museum. This is the Flash. I hope you learn a lot during your visit to this exhibit.
So as you'll see, my most of my powers are pretty much some crowd control that will either stun or hold or.
Physics is the study of matter and motion. Basically, the world around us. Whether it's quantum mechanics or atomic energy, physics is fantastic.
I saw Leo. There. Let's keep our friend alive. So the good thing with Bastion is that not only does it give my character a bit more survivability, but it allows me also to keep my partner alive sometimes. Yeah, like it gives me survivability not just for myself, but for my partner as well.
Flash fact. Did you know
Oh,
that
no
when you
collection
visit a
here.
gift shop or donate to various organizations such as the Central City Kid Museum and the Speed Force Research? Well, now you do.
Oh, So as you see, juggling them enemies helps out a bit. Essentially, while they're juggled in the air, they're not attacking us. So it works as both an offensive and a defensive power, which is always good, if you ask me.
What is it with the new? Not that it matters. I'm taking this little beauty and anyone who stands in my way. The Flash can't stop me this time. Kill! Now what are these assassin guys doing in Central City? Oh, shit!
Uh, there we go. So that wasn't too bad.
This belongs in a museum. Find a Flash again. Hey, where's my gun? Thanks for
Let's
saving
go
this
with the
relic,
bow.
everyone. I'll return it to the researchers. Leonard, you
Normally, I would have taken the focusing element, but I have plenty of those. Let's give our friend a little bow because he deserves it. He did a good job. He did a really good job. So let's see what we got. We're gonna sell that. We're going to salvage that probably. Maybe we'll get a style from that. Nah, no style. No style either. That wasn't a total loss. We'll have some stuff to salvage. So let's try to look for our friend, the robot, once more. If not, we'll care for another mission. So that's the one drawback of doing those missions, the robot missions solo, is that you have, or all the bounties actually. When you do the bounty solo, you're by yourself trying to find set bounties. As opposed to with a group, you can split up, and it's usually pretty quick with a group to find the bounties. Everyone goes to one of the spawn point and until the robot spawns, and then warns everyone else. Sadly, by yourself, all you can really do is fly around. Maybe there's a bit I forgot to check, and it shouldn't be here. Usually, there's a bunch of enemies that have to do with one of the villain missions, so it shouldn't be there. Oh, could that be? Oh, there he is. So let's go all the way this time. Let's. Well, we have a base nearby. Let's go there. One of the advantages of having many alternate characters is that you can have bases all over the place. Oh, plenty of stuff to salvage. That's good. We got a couple of complex material, so not a total loss. So let's sell what we don't need. Let's check if maybe I'll use it. Might 3.3. I have too many characters. There's no way. Precision, precision. Oh yeah, 3.3. There's no way it's gonna be good. Should have known that. So I think that's gonna be it for now. I probably could do another duo, but nah, let's call it quits for now. We'll pick it up probably later today. I'll try to do probably the Desecrated Cathedral. I'm not sure how much. 14 marks of victory. I'm still missing quite a bit. Essentially, what I need to buy is a essentially a controller belt. So I need about what was it, 40, 45? I think it's 45 for the belt. So I'm not there yet. In a couple of days, I suppose. If I do all the content solo and maybe a few 4-man missions. I don't do much 8-man missions, especially at level, for many reasons. The main one is that so far, although I haven't tried, like the last time I tried the 8-man missions, I was probably, I don't know, combat rating 132 or something like that. So, but so far I haven't been able to, most of those 8-man missions turn into a nightmare way too quickly. Like for Blackest Day, we were able to, well, although for Blackest Day, the first day we were able to get through the first two bosses before I had to leave. Uh, but too often those 8-man missions turn into a nightmare in most groups, in most pogs anyway. So unless you're really lucky and you get everyone at 143 and everyone knows what they have to do, it's pretty much a nightmare. So that's it for now. So hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.